Arsenal have to get these key areas of the pitch under control to win this game. But there's also another key point that could sway this tie in Arsenal's favour. So, let's get into it. So first of all, the midfield is probably the area of the pitch that is going to have the most impact on a game. And that's why it's so important for Arsenal to get a grip of this midfield so early on. We know the Liverpool midfield is not as strong as it could be. They're missing their player of the month in Endo. He's away on the Asia Cup. And Szoboszlai, there's doubts on whether he's going to be fit or not. So it's essential that Arsenal play their strongest midfield, but not only their strongest in terms of personnel, but a system that can really work against this Liverpool midfield. And that's why I would go with Declan Rice in the holding position. Then I would actually go Smith Rowe in that number 8 position. We know before his injury last year, Arteta was starting to deploy him in that number 8 role. He was trying to turn him into more slightly defensive than he had been in previous seasons. Smith Rowe always been a number 10, but he's not going to be able to play that position with Odegaard in the team. So there was a transition period happening where Smith Rowe was starting to get more minutes further back on the pitch before his injury. So I think Arteta could deploy him in that position today, and I think he will have a lot of success, especially with Rice behind him and especially with Odegaard in front of him, who in recent weeks has been so much more creative than he has been. And then you look at the attack, and I think the most important area of this game is going to be our left-hand side. Martinelli versus Trent. I think the more times we can give Martinelli the ball and try and isolate him on that left-hand side with Trent defending him, I think that's where we can expect our most dangerous attacks to come from. Martinelli's been in good forms in terms of having the confidence to take players on, whipping some crosses in. It's just his numbers and actually getting them final assists isn't actually happening. It's bound to happen at some point, and I think this can really be the game for it to happen. We've seen Martinelli versus Trent so many times in the past couple of seasons, and in my opinion, Martinelli's always come out on top. Trent is so good going forward, but he's always been suspect defensively. So I think the more we can get Martinelli on the ball, the better. Especially if we have Zinchenko available in that left-back position. I think that will only help Martinelli even more in this game. And then right-hand side, that's going to be interesting as well because we're not sure if Saka's going to be available this game. Mikel Arteta's been kind of coy with his words. He's saying Saka's been injured, he's been playing with an injury, he needs a bit of rest. But whether that comes today or not, I'm unsure. We obviously got a couple of weeks off after this game, so we may opt to play him in this game and then give him a couple of weeks off after. So hopefully we can get to see Saka in this game. Obviously you want your best players playing. You don't want him playing with an injury to the point where if he plays it's going to aggravate it and cause even longer term injury. But if he's been playing with a slight strain and he is able to do that, then I think it's best that we do play Saka. You do want your best players in this game and he will be very effective for us. If not, Reiss Nelson comes in. And if he does come in, this is going to be his chance to show that he does have the ability to play on that right-hand side for Arsenal. A lot of people are calling for Arsenal to go for some reinforcements on that right-wing position in the summer, or if not in January. So Reiss Nelson is now going to have limited chances to really stake his claim as that second-place right-winger for Arsenal. So this could be the day for Reiss Nelson. We'll have to see what happens. And then if you're looking at what we need defensively, like I mentioned already, hopefully Zinchenko is going to be available for this game. But not only just having Zinchenko there, we need to now wipe out these defensive mistakes that we've been making a lot more in the past few games. Gabriel, he needs to tidy up slightly. Kiwior's made a couple of mistakes. Zinchenko's made a couple of mistakes. Even Ben White's made a couple of mistakes. So there's these small defensive tweaks that we can make just to gain that extra percentage needed to be able to stop these Liverpool attacks. I still think we've got one of the best defences in the league. And if you're looking at like the goals against and stuff, that would suggest that as well. But we definitely need to stop giving away these easy chances. We're obviously going to have Ramsdale in goal for this game, which in my and many other people's opinion is our strongest keeper. So it'll be interesting to see how Ramsdale gets on. The last time he played, he actually looked really good. The couple of times before that, he was still suspect. You could tell his confidence wasn't quite at his highest. But now I think he's kind of settled into that role where he understands, okay, I am the second place keeper. I've got nothing else left to prove. If I do have a blinding game, it's probably not going to sway Mikel Arteta's opinion so much to where he's going to start playing me in Premier League games. So I think Ramsdale can now just enjoy this game. It's a big team. It's a big game. And these are the moments Ramsdale used to really live for. He used to really play up for the crowd in these big games. And I'm sure we're going to see that with Ramsdale again today. So in terms of lineup, this is the lineup that I would go for, okay? So you're obviously going to have Ramsdale in goal. Hopefully Ben White at right back. That depends on whether Arteta deems him fit enough to start. Then you've got to go Gabriel and Saliba. And then hopefully again Zinchenko on that left-hand side. Declan Rice in the holding position. Emil Smith Rowe in that number 8 position. Odegaard centre attack and mid. And then you're either going to have Saka or Nelson, depending on Saka's injury on the right-hand side. Martinelli on the left and Gabriel Jesus up front. I think it's important to play Gabriel Jesus instead of Nketiah because Gabriel Jesus is the better player. Nketiah is always going to be able to come off the bench and score you goals. And I think that's where his best position is. I think if he's coming off the bench for the last 20 minutes, the other defenders are tired. He's always got that awareness in the box that allows him to create a chance for himself. He's also got a lot of speed as well. So if you bring him on for the last 20 minutes, I think that's where Eddie Nketiah can be at his most effective. So next we're going to have a quick talk on why I think this game is so significant. I think if you're looking back from ever since Arteta took over, I think our trajectory has been on an upward direction. I think this is kind of the first real test. We've obviously had blips in the road before and, we missed out on top 4 a couple of seasons ago. We missed out on the title last year. But if you're looking at how the graph would look, it's always been upwards. First season 8th, second season 8th, third season 5th, and then you go up to second. So this has always been on the up. And if we're to carry on in that trajectory, we can't now start losing 4 games in a row and losing against teams we should be beating. I'm not saying that in terms of this Liverpool game, but Fulham before this, West Ham before that. So I think now this is like the first real test that Arteta's had to where this could go 2 directions. This could be either where you start dropping off and you really start losing a few games in a row, and then at that point it becomes difficult to then start going the other direction. But if we win this game, that could be a real kickstarter to get ourselves back on track, to get ourselves in a position where top 4 is absolutely guaranteed. Where if you're looking at the table at the minute, it wouldn't suggest that. If you're looking at the table right now, it looks like Arsenal are in a top 4 battle, but we are better than that. We shouldn't be in a top 4 battle. This Arsenal team is good enough and capable enough to be in that title challenge. We're still not a million miles away from it. The title this season is so tight. Teams are probably not playing at their best. Maybe Liverpool are overachieving, Man City are underachieving, Aston Villa are overachieving, maybe Arsenal are underachieving from where they was last season. And I know this isn't a Premier League game, but a game like this can really give you the confidence. So when you do restart playing them Premier League games again in like 2 weeks' time, you know you're capable of beating these teams. If you've just beat the best team in the league at the minute, and that is what the table says, then you're more than capable of beating Crystal Palace. Where if we lose this game, you're without a win in like 4 or 5 games. You've lost 2 or 3 on the bounce, and you're going into that Crystal Palace game knowing you need a win. Whereas if you win this game, you know you've just beat Liverpool, so you can go to Crystal Palace and get a result there, no problem at all. I think if you win this game, it just eliminates them negative thoughts you might have of thinking, oh my God, we can't beat any team, we can't get a result, we can't beat Fulham, can't beat West Ham, can't beat Liverpool. So that's why I'm backing Arsenal to win this game. So another reason that Arsenal may have a slight advantage in this game is Liverpool play again midweek. They play Fulham again on Wednesday in the EFL Cup, so they've only got sort of 3 days recovery. And Jurgen Klopp is going to have to bear that in mind when he's selecting his starting 11 for this game. Because it's very unlikely in 2 back-to-back cup games that he's going to play his very strongest 11. He obviously knows he's going to have a bit of rest after that Fulham game, but you certainly don't want to be playing your best 11 twice in a 3-day period, knowing you've not got Salah, knowing you've not got your best midfielder in Endo. So you're going to be straining your players in 2 games back-to-back. So I just see that as another added bonus for Arsenal. But I'd love to know your thoughts, so let me know in the comments section. What's your score prediction? I'm going with a 3-1 win to Arsenal, and I'm confident that can happen. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.